It's almost Halloween. So what we're gonna do is talk about 3 Halloween albums, bands. 3 spooky, occult sounding, occult themed, early 70s stoner, proto doom bands and albums. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about 3 very underground, obscure albums that you might not even know, even being stewards of heavy rock and underground rock that you are, you smart SMOD fans, even you might not know these albums. At least you might not know some of these albums. We're going to talk about 3 bands in this video. I'm going to run down a little bit about the bands, talk about the albums, give my thoughts, and we're going to include some pictures as well. So, since it's almost Halloween, let's dig into some occult, scary, spooky bands that you need to hear. So enjoy. Let's talk about it. Let's get started. The first band is Primeval. Primeval. Now these guys were from Indiana. They were formed in 1972. They recorded their only album, Smokin' Bats at Compton's, which has been described as a bona fide stoner rock touchstone. That was released in 1974 and finally issued on CD in 2006. They were mentioned in the article Classic Rock magazine titled The Lost Pioneers of Heavy Metal. Now I've known this Smokin' Bats at Compton album for quite a few years now. I probably found it maybe 5 to 7 years ago, and I've had it downloaded, but it's one of those that, good luck finding it on physical format. They did not print very many copies of this. I believe maybe 100 copies back in the 70s, but it was reissued on CD, so you can probably find a CD these days. I just haven't had a chance to buy it on CD yet. Smokin' Bats at Compton's is doesn't actually have horror, Halloween, occult themed songs on it. It's more of a bluesy stoner rock, proto rock type of album. It doesn't really have the doom occult style or lyrics, but I wanted to include it in this video because it's an amazing album, and Primeval is a band that probably got lost in a lot of people's radars here. I mean, it's a friggin' stoner rock band from the early 70s from Indiana, of all places, so I'm sure it's been forgotten by a lot of people, and some people have never even heard of it. I thought this would be a good time to include it because Primeval, and it's kind of a good band name for Halloween season. Also, the album artwork is really neat. It's got a frickin' bat with a goblin face in the middle. So it's got bat wings with a goblin face in the middle. Very spooky looking album artwork. It was actually drawn, I believe, by the girlfriend of one of the band members, and a very talented artist drew this really neat album artwork. Smokin' Bats at Compton's. This album has some amazing riffs. It kicks off with Leavin', and it's a heavy riffed out rockin' starter of a song. Progress is another killer tune, and the best track on the album is the track 3. It's called Fantasies. It's a sprawling instrumental. It's about 6 minutes long. It's even almost prog-ish, but it doesn't overstay its welcome at 6 minutes. Fits just right in with doom and stoner fans. 6 minutes is not anywhere near long enough, or too long for us, but it's just a fantastic song. Fantasies is. If you listen to one song from the album, Fantasies should be the one you listen to. But it also closes with another long 6-minute song. Actually, it's 7 minutes, I believe, and it's called Your Blues. Your Blues obviously is bluesy. It's a slow track, but I think it's a pretty damn good track. If you like bluesy stuff, if you like some slower, more atmospheric stuff, Your Blues is a great closing track for the album. So only one album from Primeval, but they deserve to be found because this album kicks ass at only 36 minutes, doesn't take up much of your time. It's got a nice, rough, kind of a rough production style, which a lot of people might be into, kind of a garage, occult sounding production style, which is common from the early 70s. So check out Smokin' Bats at Compton's by Primeval. Album number 2, band number 2 that we're going to be talking about is called Salem Mass. Alright, now this album, unlike the last one, is horror themed or occult themed or Halloween themed, at least more so than the last one. They released one album called Witch Burning. Witch Burning. It's another one of those bands like Witchfinder General or Electric Wizard, who like the subject of the witch hunting, the old 14th, 15th century Inquisition, which makes sense for bands to like that if they're into doom music, because heavy metal and doom music is obviously about suffering and death and stuff like that, and doom, and so hey, what's more doom and what's more brutal and suffering than burning people at the stake, right? So Witch Burning by Salem Mass. Now this album is pretty unique. It is a very progressive styled doom album. It actually makes heavy use of Moog synthesizers, and apparently lore goes that one of the first Moog synthesizers was used for the recording of this album. It was released in 1971, and it starts off with a 10-minute title track and offers up all sorts of Moog soloing and a lot of progressive leaning. A 10-minute epic, which is perfect for Doom fans. It's self-titled Witch Burning is what it's called. And I really like the song that kicks off side 2, which is called You Can't Run My Life. Obviously a pretty sweet title for all of us independents out there that don't want to be told what to do. This one is more of a rocker, not as much on the synth, but it's killer, man. The riffs are killer in this one. I also like Bear Tree, which is a pretty spooky song. It's about a 6-minute atmospheric occult song. It has a really nice menacing feel to it. So this band, which came straight out of Idaho, had just some fantastic rough occult sounding and themed music. It's too bad that they only released one album, but it's a damn good album, and again only at around 35 minutes long, so it doesn't take up much of your time, but it's got a 10-minute opening track, so hey, you gotta listen to it just for the 10-minute opening track, right? So check out Witch Burning by Salem Mass. Now, last band I'm going to be talking about is a little different than the last couple. They've had a long career and are still together actually to this day. So they were formed in 1973 and are still active. A 50-year career right now. They're from Kansas City, Missouri, which is kind of cool because I live about an hour from Kansas City. So they're kind of from my neck of the woods. And a lot of these bands that I've been talking about are from the Midwest of the United States. So that's kind of cool. Never really thought the Midwest had much in the way of proto-stoner type of stuff, but apparently it does. So Kansas City's own JPT Scare Band. It's called JPT Scare Band. Still together and actually signed to Ripple Music, or if not signed to Ripple Music, they were releasing some of their records, some of their physical records on CD and stuff with Ripple Music. So that's a good connection to the stoner scene, the modern stoner scene. They're on a Ripple, which everyone I'm sure knows the Ripple label. They were called one of the lost pioneers of heavy metal from the 2007 issue of Classic Rock magazine. They were included with the company of Iron Butterfly, Blood Rock, and Leafhound. So definitely a band that is worth checking out, and they actually have more than one album. They actually have a lot more to dig into. But I'm going to talk about their first CD, The Sleeping Sickness. The Sleeping Sickness has some occult and kind of horror style songs on it, and it's got artwork that's pretty spooky as well, so it fits in good with the Halloween season. Now, Sleeping Sickness has several super long tracks on it, a 15-minute one, a 13-minute one, and two 12-minute tracks. The album has heavenly long doomed out tracks, long brooding stuff, and it's got some occult song titles such as King Rat and Sleeping Sickness, and the artwork is very, very horror type, so I think it's worth listening to this time of year for sure. And it's got the long doom songs, so you gotta love that. Some more interesting facts about the band. They took the name from their initials for the first, so the first initials, JPT, JPT of the band members. And then the scary is the acid rock sound. Their scary acid rock sound. Sleeping Sickness went into heavy rotation on some stations in New York, so they actually got some airplay. And like I said, they got signed to Ripple, or at least had some stuff released on Ripple. At least they did at one time back in 2010, and they actually released an album on that label called Acid Blues is the White Man's Burden in 2010. And it looks like that was the last record that they put out. So as far as I know, they're still together, but they haven't released a new CD since that. But they have several CDs that were released in the 2000s, and a lot of their stuff was recorded in the 70s. Again, long, doomy, acid psych rock. Really good stuff. So check out JPT Scare Band. It's a really great band for the Halloween season. Well, that's going to do it for this video. I hope these bands are enjoyable to you for the spooky Halloween season. Have a great Halloween, and I will talk to you soon. Doom on, guys.